All
Welcome
right.
back to Locky Top Sports. What's up, Josh?
Naveen, what's up, man? How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing well, man. As you can see, my background is bricks, and that's what Mississippi State was shooting last night, just now.
Tonight. Yeah. It was pretty wild. The first half you saw Mississippi State, I think when they scored 16 points
Yep.
for the first half, and then I didn't honestly think that they would come in and do much in the second half. And then they pull it, I think, within 4 points,
Yeah.
right there out of the halftime break. And then all of a sudden the offensive explosion just, starts going crazy. And looks like Chaz Lanier has found his way back from, whatever shooting slump that he was in. And turned in a really good performance tonight shooting from the floor. And, overall dominant performance by Tennessee. If we could just get this kind of performance on the road, man, I think it would be a really dangerous team, for the rest of the season.
Yeah, man. The game was in TBA or Thompson Bowling, so it was a dub. So if we played all the games at home, we'd be undefeated national champions. But we don't. I'll take you through some of the stats. 41% from the field, 35% from three, 92% from free throw. Love to see it. 12 out of 13. 35, 26, plus 11 on the boards, plus 2 on the offensive boards, plus 7 on the assists, plus 2 on steals. Zakai Ziegler with 5 steals. Excellent performance. Plus 1 on blocks, even on turnovers. Mississippi State actually beat us by 2 in points in the paint and 1 for second chance points, but we got more points off turnovers. Our biggest lead was 20. Less fouls, no techs. Pretty clean game down there. Milicic with 7 rebounds. Akpara with 12 rebounds.
Hey, yeah, I mean, he
We
was a
were
rebounding
asking for
machine.
rebounds.
I think
Yeah.
Akpara created like multiple ways in how you could miss tonight. Like I've never seen a guy be able to miss so many like gimmies under the rim as Felix did tonight. But hey, man, credit to him. 12 rebounds, 9 points, almost had the double double. But I mean, when you walk away with 23 from Chaz Lanier on any night, it's going to be a good night. So, I mean, really no complaints there. It's good to see Chaz kind of break out of that shooting slump that he'd been in over the last, seems like since we got into conference play. So,
yeah. Yeah, just overall strong performance. Everybody really hit their free throws. Nobody really had that much of a slump. Maybe you could say Akpara and Milicic were not bricking, but at least they were getting their own rebounds. So I'm okay with bricking if you can get the rebound and maybe follow it up or pass it to a teammate. That's fine by me. Ziegler with 7 assists. On Mississippi State, really it was just Hubbard, Melendez, and Kugel with over 10 points. Nothing really was outstanding from them. Again, second half much better than the first half for them.
yeah, I mean, Tennessee actually lost. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, they actually lost the second half. I think 40-34 in the second half.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but when you Tennessee turned in 2, I mean, even halves there, 34 in each half. But when you go in 34-16 at the half, like, hey man, like that's a recipe for success every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty strong performance. Again, we got our biggest game of the year on Saturday. So, what do we think about that game? 8:30 tip on Saturday night Eastern, Tennessee at Auburn.
Oh man, It's kind of a murderer's row if you really think about it, with Auburn coming up, then you have Kentucky, then you have Florida back on the schedule again. So you don't want to really say look ahead. I don't know how you can. I mean, those are three key games for kind of how you define your season as far as conference play goes. But this game Saturday with Auburn, man, it's on the road. We discussed at great length on our last reaction show the stinkers that we've been throwing up on the road, especially at Vanderbilt. Over the weekend, didn't get the job done, and then losing earlier in the year on the road at Florida, by 1 million points. So, honestly, I'm not even cautiously optimistic. I'm probably more pessimistic than anything going into the game on Saturday. I think Auburn's going to beat us, and I think they're going to beat us pretty decisively. Honestly, I mean, we've just not shown any type of life on the road or any reason for me to think that we're going to be able to go to their place and win. And every time Tennessee plays Bruce Pearl, there's always a little extra juice from Coach Pearl and his teams.
Yeah, man. It's going to be an uphill battle. Janai Broome probably out, but as our
that actually benefits us a little bit. Not obviously for the reasons that you would think. Janai Broome being their best player, but just from the big man perspective, we've struggled there mightily all year, where we play any type of bigs with a pulse. It doesn't necessarily go our way.
Yeah. I think we need Chaz Lanier to have a big game. We need Ziegler to have a big game. He was in single digits tonight. We need to get to 75 points to beat Auburn. I don't think 68 or 60s are going to cut it. If we can get to 80, that would be great. But cautious wishing, I would say, for us. Let's get to 75 first. Yeah, I mean, when the game opens up a bit, I feel like we don't necessarily have the shooting to, just play Golden State Warriors with other teams. Although we try to, we don't have it. Dalton Connect's not coming out of the locker room, so we got to be.
Well, that may be true, and Dalton Connect, do miss him, but let's be honest. If we get the performance we got from Chaz Lanier tonight, I mean, I like our chances.
Yeah. Yeah, 4 big threes in the first half. I feel like we play well with the lead. Typically, a little scary tonight, cutting it from 18 to
I think 4 or 5,
and then going back up to 12. Good to see that we were able to close out the game, but there's a different level of talent at Auburn than at Mississippi State. So need to kind of put the pedal to the metal if we're up, and not try to play from behind a lot. So although we did play from behind at Vandy, we almost won the game, but we don't want to be in that situation in Auburn at all.
Yeah, I mean, Chaz is still averaging, 16.7 points even throughout this whole slump that he's been in. But given the home court advantage to Auburn, Neville Arena is always rocking, man. Like they've got a very impressive home court advantage there. And again, we've consistently had issues winning on the road this year, whether it be in football, basketball. It doesn't matter. We've just had a really hard time carrying the power tee to opponents' campuses over the last 7 or 8 months. Since baseball season ended, we've not fared very well on the road. Tony V, he'll take the tee and plant it on anybody's campus, but Big Rick and Josh, they've kind of been struggling, man. But you know, when I look at it and I kind of break it down more, Tennessee averages 83 points per game. And defensively, Auburn has only given up, on average 56 points per game. So I don't know what that says for you, if that sways your opinion any of our listeners, reviewers here tonight. Feel free to chime in on what do you think Tennessee's got to do to go and get the win Saturday, or if what kind of takeaways did you have from tonight's victory over Mississippi State? Again, we saw Chaz Lanier come back with a strong performance, 20 points tonight. Can we carry that momentum into Saturday? The one thing I talked about on the last reaction show is, you love how the SEC set up the schedule where, we have this midweeker going in before Auburn. And, now we have 4 days to prep for Auburn, where they had an entire week to prep for us. So I don't know, your feelings about that, Naveen, going into Saturday's game. If obviously that gives a little bit of an advantage or an edge to Auburn, but I'd like to get your thoughts on that. Where we are scoring pretty high average compared to what Auburn gives up defensively. And do you think we're going to ride any of this momentum in?
Yeah, I'd be curious, Josh, to see what the differences are in our points per game on the road versus away. I think that, not to belabor the point, but we don't shoot well on the road. So what that means for me is Zakai Ziegler is going to have to be a pest. Meshack is going to have to get in people's face. Akpara and Milicic have to really step up their game, keep the consistency on the boards. I love to see double-digit rebounds from our forwards. We need to get that going again. And Auburn is just like a little bit better version of us, I would say. They do what we do well, kind of better than we do. I would say probably early favorite for a national championship. I know that the 1 seed right now, Duke at 2. But yeah, I will say for the next games coming up, you mentioned the gauntlet of 3 games that we have, which is obviously Auburn, Kentucky, Florida. We need to go 2-1 in that stretch. Not saying we need to go and sweep that 3 games, but we need to go 2-1.
We got to go 2-1. We can't go 1-3, but or 1-2 or 0-3. But I'll tell you this, we're talking about our road woes. So there's been, as of today, or, coming in today, there's been 13 road games throughout conference play over the first 2 weeks here, 13 conference road games, and only 3 teams in the league have secured wins on the road. And the average margin of victory by the home teams in conference play is almost 14 points per game. So, when you look at these observations, it really just underscores the challenge that all these SEC teams are facing on the road. It's not just a Tennessee thing. It's hard to be the road team in the SEC so far this year. I mean, and you've seen it. Tonight we played a top 20 team. And this proved out to run along the analytics line there of the average for the road team losing, Mississippi State losing to us tonight, 12 points? Mm-hmm. So,
yes,
it's right there on that 13, 14 point margin there.
Yeah, Vegas had it at, I guess, 8.5, and we covered. So we performed a little bit better than the expectation.
Yeah, what do they say about great teams, Naveen?
Dude.
Great teams cover, right?
Great teams cover. Good teams win. Great teams cover.
Maybe we're trending to the positive, ways of getting back on the right side here.
Yeah, so I wanted to, since Andy's not here and we haven't looked at it that much.
Oh man, what do we got here? We got some Ken Pomeroy.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I just wanted to take you guys through a little bit of this first. Basically, Ken Pom has his own mathematical way to rank teams. As of right now, he's got Duke at number 1, Auburn at 2, Houston at 3, Iowa State at 4, Florida at 5, Tennessee at 6, Bama at 7, Kansas at 8, Illinois at 9, Purdue at 10. Right. So we can kind of break these down into what's the difference between our ratings for each of these. Basically, he's saying that we have a 23 rank offensive rating and 3 rank for our defensive rating, proving that we're a better defensive team than we have been. They're saying that our strength of schedule is a little low compared to the rest of what's happening in the league. They're saying Bama's is number 1 and Auburn's is number 2.
Where's our strength of schedule? Where they got that at? Our net for that?
Right here.
No, I see. Okay, so they're putting us at like the
45.
45th, huh?
Uh-huh.
Woof. Well, I mean, that's not too bad when you look at Iowa State. 57.
Yeah, I think Josh, like it'll go way up after these 3 games, right?
Yeah.
So,
We'll have. I think we'll probably have number 1 after this 3-game stretch.
Exactly. So, like, I think this is the least important of the metrics that he kind of tracks. But it's good to keep in mind, like, when you're looking at these ratings, who have they put? Basically, to quote Charles Barkley, who he played for or who has he played? So Tennessee, number 45.
Man, there's a lot of Big Ten teams there in that top 15 in the Ken Pom rankings. We're sitting here beating our chests about the SEC. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a wild league. I would always go over the Ken Pom rankings over the Associated Press. He's got this down to some type of basketball witchcraft, which I can't even begin to fathom. I mean the amount of statistical acumen that goes into providing these readouts for all this. I mean, you could literally take this to your book and just make money off of these Ken Pom composites. He ran something like, what was it, like almost 200 games in a row last year of predicting the correct outcome. It was complete insanity.
Yeah. So I just want to note here your point about Big Ten. Not really much in the top, but Big Ten definitely shows up 9, 10, 12, 13, and closing out the top 25 in his rankings. But the SEC, let's just count how many in the top 25 he's got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So basically tough leagues for both of us. Kind of interesting segue.
I was thinking we were gonna get. Nah, hold on. I was thinking we were probably going to break the record for 12 teams in the tournament this year. Do you think Big Ten's got enough to get 12 in? I mean, I know they have 38.
I don't think so.
I know they got 38 schools in their conference now.
Yeah, I think honestly, SEC will get about 8 teams in.
Nah, man, we're gonna get more. We're gonna get at least 10 or 11.
I just think there's going to be so many teams with a lot of losses in conference play, so I don't know.
Doesn't matter. I mean, if they're all, their net rankings, there's, it's 1. If it's a quad 1 loss, they're not going to hold that against them.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think 8 to 10.
I mean,
probably.
if you have less than 10 overall losses in SEC play, and most of your losses are quad ones. Like our loss to Vanderbilt, in my mind, because I always think of Vanderbilt being just complete trash year in and year out. Like that's like a quad 2 or quad 3 loss in my mind. It's quad 1 loss this year. That is a quadrant 1 loss to Vandy on Saturday.
So, Josh, how does it work? Is it quad 1 at the time you played them, or quad 1 at the end of the season?
When you play them.
Okay. All right. Then I would agree with you a little bit more. But I think, 12 teams. That's basically saying 3/4 of the conference is going to
Vanderbilt is still going to be a quad 1 loss even at the end of the year.
Okay. So, yeah, I think it's a little tough, honestly, if especially if Vandy goes on and loses a lot more, it might diminish what's been happening. But I think that 8 to 10 teams is what we're going to look at. Probably both the Mississippi teams, Tennessee, Auburn.
How much are you willing? Florida. Hey, man, this is like the top sports. How much are you willing to bet?
What are the terms?
How much are you willing to bet that you get 8 teams, like the maximum SEC teams that make it into the NCAA tournament is 8, and mine are 10.
Okay, so let's set the line at 9 then. It's 9.5. What do you?
Yeah, let's set it at 9.5.
Okay, 9.5. I'll do $100, gentlemen's 100.
There we go.
All right, so I'll go under 9.5. Josh is on the over.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see. We'll see at the end how this shakes out. But yeah, just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight into what the real pros are doing. It seems crazy. I've watched a couple Duke games. They're really good. Auburn is good. We're good.
I mean, that's Auburn's one loss is to Duke.
Yeah, but Kentucky beat Duke. You know what I mean. So it's like it's all ancestral.
Yeah, make it make sense, man. I mean, transitive properties. It's one of those things in sports that just always, And I know you were about to go into this diatribe about how SEC football's dead and Big Ten are kings, which I still don't understand. You're a resident member of the Locky Top Sports family. You are one of the main co-hosts of the show. And all I have seen all day long is absolute SEC football slander in the group chat. Unprovoked, unwarranted, and unwanted. Okay.
I just think
pure malice.
All right, so I'm gonna bring stats from both sides.
Roman, Frank, everybody. The only person that's free of this cardinal sin of SEC slander is Andrew Kim, and that's because he's at a work function tonight. He'd probably be hopping in there, doubling down with everybody else. I don't know what happens when you guys leave and go back to the Northeast in New Jersey and New York, and then back down to Texas. You guys just lose all your wits.
I think it's just interesting, right? Like, obviously, I'm going to give you this stat: 13 of the last 20 national champions, SEC.
That's right.
Right. But if we start the blackboard over at NIL 2021, right? Or 2022, really, we'll have 2-2. Georgia, Mich, and Ohio
State.
So I think it's shifting a little bit, and I think it would be naive to say that it's not.
I mean, if you look at the, there's a lot of things. I was about to say you could look at the chairman of the committee right now, who is a Big Ten AD. You know, I'll die on this hill. Ohio State should have played in Neyland Stadium. There was no reason whatsoever we should have went to Ohio Stadium and played there. We were higher in the AP poll until we weren't. They flipped us just like out of nowhere on an off week. You know, both teams didn't play during the Army-Navy week, and
That's
somehow
it got flipped.
Somehow, some way, it flipped, and you cannot convince me any other, argument sake that it should have been played at Neyland. And if it had been played at Neyland, boys, this would be a whole different conversation of what we're having right now.
I will say that
completely different.
Of the champions of recent past, Ohio State basically played everybody they could play. They played Texas, beat them. They lost once to Oregon, but then smoked them. They played us, smoked us. They play – who else did they play?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. It got dangerously close for someone on the 8.5 last night. It got very close at the end, but really, I think it really
did. And I think the complacency kind of set in, to be honest with you. If I have to tell you the truth, with Notre Dame in Ohio State last night, because at the end of the day, when Will had just said, you know what, I bet Jeremiah Smith is down there somewhere. I'm just going to throw it for a 40-yard pass and just put this to bed. I mean, that's essentially what he did. And there wasn't much Notre Dame could do about it. There were so many people that tried to play man defense on Ohio State throughout the playoffs, us being one of those teams. And, we chose, like, that was our identity. That was what we were going to try to do and stick with. And, we took the medicine we wanted. I've heard people talk about, Michigan, how did they do it? Their defensive line is huge. Well, I mean, Michigan's defensive line really wasn't that much bigger than Tennessee's. All right. The decision that Ohio State made was to no longer try to run it at those defensive lines that they could not get any type of rush yards against, and decide to, open up the playbook. Chip Kelly put on a master's class on how to really just rearrange and scramble 4 really, really good defensive coordinators' brains over the course of the playoffs, man. I mean, he had everything he dialed up just absolutely hitting, and it was evident. I mean, he was getting people in space, especially his go-to receivers. I mean, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith. Until last night, we didn't really see much of their running attack. I think Notre Dame did a really good job there in the second half of trying to adjust, but then, trying to be in man defense and putting people on islands. I mean, we just saw what happened at the end of the game. So hats off, tip of the cap, whatever you want to do to the Buckeyes. To your point, they played probably the 4 toughest teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they went and they earned it. They deserved it. So, congratulations to Ohio State. That's what $20.5 million in NIL will get you. It'll get you a trophy. So, SEC, you better open up those dang pockets, man.
That's the point I wanted to get to. It's not the time to be down on your conference. It's the time to, number 1, make more money. Number 2, give it out. Right? So
that's right.
Donnie's back at the seat of power. Everything is lining up.
I was wondering how long it would take for Donald Trump reference to make the show.
Yeah, not that long, man. Pretty sick what he was doing. Obviously, yesterday was inauguration day, but he was basically giving a live press conference while signing executive orders, and he had someone call it out as to what he's signing and then give live commentary. I think what he said yesterday was pretty funny. Like, how often has Biden done this? It would take Biden infinity years to talk as much as I have tonight. And just what was impressive on the whole day is that my parents were watching the whole day. It was off, and it was an off day, Martin Luther King day. We probably watched 12 hours of Trump yesterday. Going to the church, inauguration, going to talking to the House of Representatives. Then he went to all those balls. But the funniest part of all this was like during the day, he just didn't stop. He gave about 5 or 6 speeches. And I just want to bring that back to hoops and say, if you want to excel, you can't stop, right? Donald Trump is not stopping. Zakai Siegler, you can't stop.
That's fair.
Same thing for Chaz Lanier, man. One game. It's great to see that you had one game, but need to do it in the biggest moments. Need to kind of get it done over a consistent span. Otherwise, we're fucked. And Josh is on over as fucked. A whole variety of things will be fucked if we don't get this consistency back.
Yeah. I mean, you would definitely see my bet kind of go out the window there, man. But I'll be honest with you. I'm not too concerned about it. I really think the SEC is going to break the record for 12 teams in the Big Dance this year. So deep league, Big Ten will give us a run for our money, since we're talking about money. But I really think that Tennessee and the rest of the SEC stand a really good chance of making the best return on the investment when it comes March. So this 3-game stretch, to your point, though, man, earlier, man, we really got to take advantage of these opponents that we have to build our resume. It's always good to have that 1 seed. We saw it last year kind of play out for the top 4 seeds last year. I mean, you had UConn. They ran the gamut, all the way to the championship. And I believe Purdue was a 1 seed as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there was 3 1 seeds, and then you had NC State. Who was the other team in there that made it? You remember?
So it's Bama, right?
Yeah, so Bama. So it was 2 1 seeds. Bama was what, a 2 seed as well?
I think Bama was a 4 seed.
4 seed? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know that they victory lap a lot about that Final Four appearance. I know that they were doing that in the football game that we attended back in the fall. We trotted out the basketball team with the SEC, basketball championship trophy last year. And they were trying to make a big deal about how many Final Fours you guys got. Yeah, that's what I like about new money teams like that. After they win one, and guilty. Yeah, when Tennessee won their first baseball national championship, I acted like we created the sport. So that's just fans being fans, So, but to the point of getting on that 1 seed line, man, it pays unless you're Virginia,
Yeah. Unless you're Virginia, who else lost? Who did FDU beat? Purdue.
Farley Dickinson beat Purdue. That's right.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, coming back to football a bit. Who are the key players in that game yesterday? Will Howard played excellent. Quincy Judkins played excellent, and those are transfers, right?
Yeah.
So
Lane Kiffin, man, he was giving shouts out to all the former Ole Miss players that played in the Natty last night. You come to the SIP and then you go somewhere else and win your chip. That's the slogan for Ole Miss football.
Yeah, that's interesting. Don't want to take away from anything Ohio State did, but yeah. Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if there's any changes to the 12-team playoff, if they make any rule changes there. I just thought it was interesting that the 1 through 4 seeds automatically lost, and I just think that's so fucking funny, dude. Dude, come on.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was probably nightmare fuel, scenario for all the committee members. It's like, we really screwed this up. You had the number 7 team and the number 8 team, I think, playing the national championship last night. So, they're going to retool it. They're going to relook it. I think there's some trueness in the idea of having to relook how they've done it and how they go forward with the seeding, because obviously we know how they did it this year was not good. Quick comments here we got from Facebook, man. We actually have a lot rolling in tonight. We got, one of our most loyal listeners, Chase Cox. He, I think he tuned in a little late for you there, Naveen. He wanted to ask where your mansion was. He also said that the Vols are trash. They stay struggling, and trash, quote, blue blood. I don't even know what that means. I mean, he did attend public school in the state of South Carolina, so I don't even know if he knows what he means. So anyway, there's that. Mike Treadway, Big Mike, love seeing you on the Facebook live stream, man. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we do this after every basketball game, or try to, if all the things come together. So great seeing you in here. My lovely wife, she's tuning in. She's always supporting the brand. So thanks, Kayla. She said it was a really bad bet for me to agree to that 9.5 SEC. I don't think she has faith that we'll get 10 teams into the dance.
Is that a double down? I'm hearing is that Kayla's getting 100 too.
I don't know. Maybe she might be going your way. She might be taking the under there instead of the over. And then we got Jay Hernandez. Jay Hernandez, big Ohio State fan, big Ohio State troll. I appreciate him for tuning in. I saw him earlier today at work. He's a great American. He's in town from the Pacific Northwest, out of the great state of Washington up there. It's where he's been hanging out for the last couple of years. Jay, it's good to see you. Congrats again to your Buckeyes. He was spelling out OHIO for me today in the Heritage. But I took it, had my Tennessee lanyard on, and took it like a champ. So again, congrats to the Ohio State University on their long overdue national championship.
All they have to do is every time they change the format, they win, right? So when they went to 14,
when they went to 4 teams, and then now to this.
12. One thing is, Ohio State with the 14 playoff would not have made it, and
that's right.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing that they were in it, because they were the best team.
That's right.
After the Michigan loss, they were the best team.
I've seen some really weirdo takes about that, about how we should have stuck to the 4-team format, because it would not have allowed Ohio State to come in and win the national championship. Now, as much as I hate Ohio State, at the end of the day, to your point, man, like, they were the best team in college football. If you run that 4-game gauntlet like they did against Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and then Notre Dame, they deserved it. I mean, hands down, deserved to be national champions. You can't tell me anything otherwise. And if you lobby to not have the best team win, like, what are we really doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a really weird. I think the young kids will call this SDE, small. Yeah. So I think that's a nice symptom that you get there when you don't want the best team in. So, I mean, they smoked everybody, guys. Like, it not even close. Really, really not within 10 points any time. So they locked it up, and there's nothing really you can do about it but fucking spend more, contribute to your NIL, and hope to beat them next year. Yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong, man. I mean, that's kind of the society that we're in right now. With the way the NIL is set up, man, you just have to
you're not
outspend your opponent. You know what I mean? You literally have to outspend everybody.
Yeah. All right, Josh, I think that's all I've got for today. Good win. And we have to carry the momentum into Auburn.
Yeah, I agree, man. So Saturday night's going to be a late night. I think it's like an 8:30 tip. Yeah. 8:30 tip.
10:45. We'll see you.
Yeah, 10:45 ish. We'll see you Saturday night. We'll obviously have a lot to talk about. You know, every time Stephen Pearl's involved, you know, that gets my emotions kind of up. You know, born on third base, acts like he hit a triple. I'm sure that'll come out a couple times. Not a big fan of Stephen Pearl, but miss his dad. Wish it would have worked out. But you know, I love Rick Barnes too. So very happy. It's set up to be a classic. I hope we don't go and embarrass ourselves like we did in Gainesville, and we have a competitive game. Hopefully, we come out with a win. I think if we play tonight like we did tonight, we have a really good shot. And you know, obviously, there's a lot of time between now and Saturday. We'll hit you guys with the episode. We're gonna release it on Thursday. Naveen, do a pod on Thursday.
Yeah, we can.
Got to do our best bets. Got to recap some NFL playoffs. There's a lot of good games that were there, but for the sake of time and you know, the purpose of our reaction shows, we're not going to delve too much into that. We'll get you our best bets. We'll set you up for the college basketball slate this weekend. A lot of good games upcoming, and you know, conference championships on the NFL. So appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. As always, we appreciate you. You like, follow, share, comment, you know, interact with us. I'm Josh. He's Naveen. We're Like Top Sports. We love you. Go Vols.
Go Vols.